Welcome to the Talkback podcast. So, Anahi, hi.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for coming.
No, thank you so much for having me, dude.
You're my first podcaster guest that I have on.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So, it's very interesting for me because the way that I see it is it takes a very unique type of person to be willing to put themselves out there in that way.
Yeah.
Because it's a very, I guess, yeah, it can feel like a very big thing. So I actually want you to tell me, what were those beginning phases? What were those first initial thoughts? And when was it, like, of the podcast? Tell me about those first steps in the journey.
Like what pushed me to,
yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I think it's when I got serious with the Lord. I say serious because, I've been in church my whole life. But when I feel like the Lord called me to do something specifically in ministry or in that area, I remember I was listening a lot to Sadie Robertson Huff.
Is she related to Wesley Huff?
No. She's married to Christian Huff, and they're basically, she's daughter of Will Robertson. Do you know the Duck Dynasty?
Oh, yeah,
family?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sadie Robertson is the daughter of granddaughter of Phil Robertson, and I knew that she was doing ministry, and I had watched their show, and I knew that she had a ministry called LO, or Live Original, and she still continued to do it. Besides that, she has her own podcast, which is called Whoa, That's Good. And for some reason, her podcast helped me a lot. I loved listening to her, and I don't know what it was that kind of just sparked my interest, like the fact that she would public speak or preach to women, and the fact that she would just have a podcast where she'd get to have guests on. And that was my, initial, interest. She caught my attention, and what she did caught my attention. And so I was like, you know what? I love to talk about Jesus. I love to talk about the Bible. Why not start my own podcast?
So how, because you said it was like when you started taking your relationship with God more seriously, when, maybe give me like an age or a time frame, when kind of was that?
Oh my goodness, I'm terrible with dates and times. Okay, hold on. I was in high school. Oh my goodness, sorry.
No, you're good.
I was in high school. I think it was my sophomore year. Yes, my sophomore year. See, I'm 19. That was maybe 16 years old, 15, 16, through there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was like the beginning of sophomore year, I believe.
So then you mentioned you have been in church your whole life. What do you think, do you give a lot of the credit to the podcast you started listening to, or was there other things in play that maybe you started noticing certain things differently in your life where you're like, man, now's the time to start taking God a little more seriously now?
So, just to make sure I understood your question, because I don't want to answer the wrong thing. I want to answer your question. So you want me to explain when I got serious with the Lord? Yeah,
and why? What was it that kind of turned that?
Okay, so I'm going to give a summary, and then maybe we can nitpick at little areas in my life. Again, I grew up in the church. I would say I've always served since I was little. I didn't know it, and I didn't recognize it until I got serious, that I had been in ministry my whole life, with music, with children's ministry, and so on and so forth. And it wasn't, I had my moments where, go to camp, and that the desire would come back, that passion, the fire for the Lord, it was there.
Yeah.
But then I would depend so much on that feeling, and then after that feeling would go away, I'd go back to my old habits. And so I guess my mind growing up was so my priorities were different. It'd be, junior high was sports. At some point it was my looks, because that's a whole
Yeah.
another story that I can get to in a little bit. But it wasn't until I got to high school, and it was during quarantine, where my life completely, like, it was a terrible time for me in a spiritual sense. And I guess mentally too, and I didn't recognize it then, but there was so much going on during that time that it caused me to just drift away from the Lord terribly. And so it was until we started school again, which I entered high school my sophomore year. I had reconnected with a young man who I had, I guess, known in 8th grade, but we cut communication off or something happened. And during that time, he knew that I was kind of not acting like a Christian. And he is a Christian. And throughout that process of our friendship, something happened where I posted a picture on Instagram. I'm going to expose myself. I posted a picture because I was so big on Instagram. And I posted a picture. My mom saw it, and she was like, I don't like that picture. You look you look very bad. Not, you know what I mean, you know? Yeah. And in my frustration and my anger, I went to my friend. I told him, my mom said this and this and that, and I'm so angry. I'm going to leave it. And he told me, maybe she's just trying to protect you. Me thinking that he was going to take my side. Yeah. He took her side, or he was just neutral about it. And that made me mad. But part of me knew that he was right. So I stopped talking to him for like a day, or like ignored him, because I was disturbed. But I had really reflected on it, and I really thought about it, and I was like, he's right. My mom's right. And so because of that friendship, my life completely changed. Oh, wow. Completely changed. There was something that I guess I felt the need that I have to draw closer to God. I have to return to my first love, which is Jesus. Yeah. And so I still thank him to this day because, or I don't know if I can say this, but there's no longer communication, which, you know, it's life. Yeah. But I'm still so grateful. Regardless of whatever happened, I'm so grateful because of that friendship. I was able, my goodness, I was able to return to Christ. And so I want to give, obviously it's all Jesus's work, it's all the Holy Spirit, but I do want to give that person credit because it completely changed my life, and I'm so forever grateful for that.
No, I totally understand that, because like you said, obviously you want to make very clear God is always going to get all the glory ultimately. But I do think that doesn't mean that God can't use people to show you and move you something, right? And I do think that, because for me, for example, I think most of the things that I've learned and the things that have stayed with me and that have really made a difference in my life has most of the time been people either from a preaching or me listening to a podcast or people talking to me, right? Like you just pick up things. They're just things that I feel like were meant to stay with you, right? And so it's seeing you obviously get emotional speaking about that. It does hit close to home because that's so true so much of the time, especially with what you were saying with the podcast that you were listening to. I feel like it's hard sometimes for a lot of Christians. I don't know if it's maybe an old school way to think, but I do think that it's almost like if you don't go like to the same church, like you can't learn anything from someone else, or like for example, me being a Christian, and I've been a Christian my whole life. My dad's a pastor, so I've been a pastor's kid I think my dad started the church literally like when I was born. Like it's been my whole life, pretty much. A little after, actually. I was probably like 5-ish.
Practically your whole life.
Yeah, pretty much my whole life. Definitely the majority. That I've learned so much from people that I might disagree with on so many other things. And I think it's kind of this thing where you have to be open-minded enough to be willing to have those conversations and speak with people that might live completely different lives to you. Because the reality is, like, how else am I going to grow?
Yeah.
Right? Do I learn by hearing the same thing with people that I agree with everything about? And that's what I think is such an amazing thing about things like podcasts, is that it really not only can show people, but it also gives an opportunity to experience something like that. Yeah. Does that make sense? So, speaking on that, off camera, we were talking about how you kind of wanted to change certain things, and even a new name with the podcast. I don't know if you're wanting to announce that. But tell me a little bit more about that and what that's going to be like.
Okay, so, well, the original name was Developing Divine Daughters. And the reason why I decided to switch the name is really so simple, Developing Divine Daughters is so exclusive. It's like only towards women. And that was my primary goal. But I would bring guests over that were, like men sharing their testimony, or but I even had a young man, So I was like, why not? If everybody's listening to it, everybody's supporting it, both genders, I was like, why not just make it more inclusive, change the name. It's always been inclusive, but the name sounds very exclusive. So I decided, let me just change the name to something where everybody's welcome to listen to it. Because like you said, you never know, like, God can use people to speak to other people, And so I was like, why just not make a bigger audience if people are already listening?
Okay, so pretty much to get the word out there more.
Yeah, or not necessarily to get the word out there, but just so that both genders feel welcome to listen to it.
Okay.
Because the name is the original name was Daughters, so it's like they might feel awkward listening to it.
Yeah, I guess.
So I decided to switch the name. I had been meditating. I was like, what am I gonna call it? I wanted the idea of it to be about the faith race, how Paul tells us to continue running the race. And so I was like, I want to name it something along those lines. And then I switched it to faith race, and I was like, I don't know if I like it that much, because the picture would be too, I don't know. It's not me. I don't know. And then I found the word heavenward in Philippians 3:14. That verse in the NIV translation, it says heavenward. I haven't memorized it, which is probably bad, but I know it says for the goal, like, heavenward. He's calling us heavenward, and I was like, that's perfect. I love the title, and I have a Bible verse to back it up. And so I decided to call it Heavenward.
That's a very interesting thing, because that's been a thing that's been on my mind lately a lot. Is I listen to a lot of Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah, I think so, yes.
I listen to a lot of him. That might be extremely controversial for Christians to hear, but I do. And I've learned so much from him, honestly. And he speaks a lot on this idea of, like, we have to, in terms of our relationship and our walks with Christ, it has to be done in an attitude where you're constantly seeking and wanting to experience growth, this upward motion, right? That's kind of what he hints at a lot. And an analogy that he's used that kind of really captures the idea of it is, like, as you're walking, obviously trying to walk with Christ and trying to go closer to him, you're looking nowhere else but up. Like, that's your focus. That's why the Bible says things like, where God says, look to me, or seek me first. Because obviously, like, if we're trying to navigate through this world with so much craziness, so much controversy, so much disagreements and things like that, it's like, it's very easy to let that consume you. So if we're not constantly focused and constantly trying to put our attention on Jesus and walking it with an attitude, with a heavenward attitude, it's going to be very hard for us to actually stay consistent in that. So I love that. It's funny because my podcast name is, like, it has no really deep meaning.
But it's so catchy. And I was actually thinking, I was like, his podcast name is so catchy. Like, why can't mine sound like that? Yeah. And I was like thinking. I was like, what's something catchy? And then I think of something and then I search it up to see if anybody else had it. Yeah. And they had it. So it's just the creativity. I think it's amazing. I love the name of your podcast.
And it's funny because the story is not that deep at all. So and I don't think I've ever even said this on the podcast, but how we came up with the name is, me, my brother, and a few friends of ours, we were playing at this church conference. Mm-hmm. It was out of town, and we all had a Talkback mic, so we were able to talk to each other. Yeah. So before service was starting, we started having just a conversation. Like, we were just talking. I don't know, like just us, I don't know, being friends, whatever. We were having a casual conversation. And then I was like, imagine how cool it would be like if I was recording all of this and I just posted it. Like, cause it was just so like random. Cause we were all at our instruments with the mic, and we were just having a conversation with each other in our ears. So I was like, that it actually is the first moment that that thought is what led to all of this. So that's why then I was like, well, I was thinking, what can I call it? Because at first my original idea was I was just going to post funny clips of talkback moments. Yeah. Of when we say, because stuff always happens. Yeah. So I was thinking of that. And then I was like, or maybe I can just do like, how can I figure out a way to make it longer? And at the time I had just started listening to podcasts a lot. Mm-hmm. So I was like, maybe I can start a podcast and I'll call it the Talkback Podcast. That's literally how it happened.
That's like the perfect story. Like that's like my dream story for a title to come up, but that didn't happen to me. So
no, it was definitely it was hard for me too. I can resonate a lot with what you were saying. It was because it's not an easy choice to make. Yeah. But because I am really curious about this because I've never met anyone else that has a podcast. So I want to ask, was there maybe like, did you feel your life in any way lead to something like that? Like, did you kind of feel in yourself like, I kind of want to do something that's very different, very unique, something that can be potentially really big?
Yeah, I think that's a good question because I think it's one of my struggles in the sense of it's one of my goals. I've always dreamed, I don't know why, I don't know if this is just my flesh or selfish me talking, but I've always dreamed like I want to do something big, big, obviously for the Lord. Yeah. And I want to go all out for it. And so I guess you can say that's the way I feel. I want to do something different. Do I expect it to go big? With my dreams, I mean, like, it's a dream. Yeah. But do I expect it? Probably not. And that's okay. Does that make sense? Like, as long as I'm doing it and I'm doing something different. So I guess you could say, I've sort of feel to want to do something different. Even though there's a lot of Christian podcasts out there, like a lot. Oh, yeah. But here in our area, very little.
So then I guess my question is then, like, what is like the ultimate goal with it?
I always say in my prayers before recording, when I record once the blue moon, because it's life is busy, but I always say, Lord, use it to change one person's life. And that's all I ask, like just one person. If it changes more, great. Yeah. But I just want it to change one person's life. And so, that's basically my ultimate goal with the podcast. Yeah.
So the reason why I ask this question a lot is because I've asked a lot of people that I do see that pursue things that are pretty, like, I guess not common, right? Because the reality is with the world that we live in, with the society that and the culture that we live in,
Yeah.
it's very like, in some cases it can be frowned upon to actually pursue something like this, right?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like, what are you doing? Like maybe go to college or go to
Or get a career.
exactly,
an
right?
actual career. Yeah.
So and that's the thing that for me, at least at first, was kind of the scary part. So for me, it was really interesting because exactly what you said, I felt at a very young age that I always say it was when I was 12 years old, because when I was 12, that was the first very real, I don't know if the word real is right. I don't know how else to phrase it, but it was a very, probably the biggest like turnaround impactful moment in my life is when I was 12.
Like the real Jesus encounter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That really stuck with me. It was when I was 12 years old. I was at a youth camp, and I was given a word there from God. But the funny thing is I knew that I was going to do big things because God had spoken to me. And even besides then, other encounters that I've had with Christ, that I've been told certain things. But for the longest time, I never ever thought of it being a podcast. And to be honest, I'm not like fully 100% sure this is it.
I feel like we'll never be 100% sure.
And that's the funny thing, is that I think that there's always going to be that aspect of faith in it. Because definitely. I mean, and I think I heard this in a preaching, which I love, is like people need to learn to have faith, because what happens is we're so focused and we put so much of our energy and our efforts on trying to understand everything, right? Like everything, we want everything to be like a math problem. Like we want to be able to, like 2 + 2 is 4, and I can make these choices in my life that way. But in reality, like if you want to do big things, like you have to not only have big measures of faith, but at the same time be willing to take big risks. Yeah. And big, like they say, like take the jump, take the leap. And so for me, one of my biggest motivations for it is that idea of like, who knows again if this is exactly God's will for my life. But the truth is, like, if I pursue it and if I put my effort in it, even if it wasn't the initial plan, I think God can use it for something. Yeah. Right? Even if it's not like me becoming real successful and doing this full time, like the reality is like it can be something. And then even then another layer to it is like, I just like having conversations with people. Yeah. And I've learned that it's funny because I was very introverted when I was young. Oh, wow. Super shy. Like I was like the kid in the corner, not talking to no one. Like every family get together, I was
go to your room.
Yeah, no, yeah. I was not like, I was very scared to talk to people. Yeah. So then I decided to force myself to get out of that, and when I did that and I kind of got out of that show, I realized that I really love talking to people, which is the reason why I really like listening to podcasts, because I feel like I'm having conversations with these people, like you're in the room. Oh wow! Right, and so that for me is a big thing when it comes to this, and obviously, like you said, ultimately, it's just another platform and an outlet to preach more of his word and shed more light on the purpose that we're here for. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so then for you, like now, obviously you've taken the steps and to start it, and you've obviously filmed episodes. Wait,
can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
You said something so crucial. One, you said what you said, I needed to hear 1,000%, because I tend to worry a lot. Like, oh my goodness, my mind is just constantly worrying. And so what you said about trusting, not the whole, in general, you mentioned trusting God. And so taking big steps of faith, taking the risk, even though you're not 100% sure. But I want to go back even further to when you had said that being in ministry is, when you take that decision, it's usually frowned upon by society, and that's so true. Yeah. Not only by society, but by your own family too at times. I can share a story. When I decided, this is not to talk bad about my parents at all. No, not at all. No, and I'll explain it right now. When I decided that I was going to go to a Bible college and study the Bible and stick to ministry, and I had kind of like just been bringing it up to my parents. And keep in mind, my parents have been in ministry their whole life too. My mom was a PK, my dad, the music, like just my ministry has been in my family for generations.
Wow.
And so, but my mom has a career. She has a big person, a big people job. And I just would bring it up to them and I'd be like, hey, so what if I join the Colegio Bíblico, which is on here? Yeah. What if I just stick to ministry? And then like, that's good, but Anahi, like, you need to get a career.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I was like, I don't want to get a career.
Yeah, I know
It's
exactly.
not because I'm lazy. It's because nothing catches my attention to, like, study. Like, I don't know. Nothing catches my attention except study the Bible. And I had several conversations with them. And I'd be like, bueno, I'll leave it alone. And then I'd bring it up again. What if I join and they're like, Anahi, that could be your plan B, but you need to go to college. Yeah. What are you going to study? And I was like, nothing captures my attention. He's like, yeah, but you need to have some financial support. And I was like, God provides. Like, if you're doing his will, you're in ministry and God provides. And he's like, no, but sometimes you have to work. And I was like, whatever. It wasn't until a married couple from the Bible college, I had like kind of opened up to them, like I was maybe interested in joining the Bible college, and how I told them how my parents were like kind of felt, and they're like, yeah, we understand that, maybe we can talk to her. And almost spontaneously it just came up, and they ended up talking to my parents in front of me, right? I don't really recall much of it, but they were basically saying, if she's called to ministry, you can't tell her like
otherwise. Yeah,
like if this is what God has for her, you can't push her to pursue something else. Wow. And after that, I just remember like looking at them, they were like, nodding their heads, kind of just listening. And after that, like everything changed. Wow. And so, yeah, sometimes we get people's concerns. Like we truly get people's concerns. Like, yeah, because ministry might not be... You might not be paid a lot, or you might not be paid at all, you know? Yeah. But God still provides. And so sometimes we get society's concerns, and we get why it's frowned upon, or sometimes we get, I got my parents' perspective, but yeah, it's like you said, overall, it's taking a leap of faith, right? And I'm still not 100% sure. You know, like you'll never be sure, but I'm still doing it. Yeah. And I don't know you that much, but I know that in this area, there's nothing else you'd rather do. Even though you're not 100% sure about what you're doing, it's like, but I wouldn't want to do anything else. Like, this is what I want to do. So yeah, I get you. I get everything you said is so crucial. So I just wanted to like point that out.
No, yeah. Again, I think it's because so I do think that obviously you can be so confident in yourself and your abilities, but especially hearing that from someone like your parents, it might not fully discourage you, but it can be a type of weight that's like, man, like, or maybe it makes you take a second, think a second thought when you weren't before, or things like that. And oh, trust me, I fully get that. It's the same thing where, like, I'm in a pretty blessed position in the sense that my family does support me doing this. It's just that, again, that thing where it's like, okay, but like, you know, maybe you do this, you know, on the side. And I work, obviously, like I'm not like just living off of my parents and then, you know, but at the same time, I have made a lot of decisions and turned down a lot of things that, in my opinion, would have held me back from doing this. And again, my main thing is like, I related so much to what you said in the sense that it's nothing else interested me. I went my whole childhood trying to figure out what I wanted to do. My whole childhood, all through middle school, all through high school. And what I found out is that I hated it because I knew that I wasn't going to use this. And that's why I realized this obviously sometime after, because I graduated early. And I didn't
wow.
graduate early because I was super smart. I didn't. I just did not like school.
Dude, I was in the same boat as you, except I couldn't graduate early. My mom did not let me.
No, yeah, like that is the reason why I graduated early. And then again, it's because and at that point, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. The podcast wasn't a thing. I wasn't thinking like, I want to go work as this. I just graduated early just because I knew in my heart that this was not for me. Even though I didn't know why, or I didn't know what the thing is. And again, I still don't fully know what that is. I just know that it's something different and it's something big. And those are like, when you're given that information, those are the only things that you know.
That's kind of like your goal.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, what do I have to do? What
Exactly.
do I gotta work towards? Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's like you know that you're supposed to go forward, but you don't know where exactly that leads to. So that can take a toll on your mind.
Yeah.
And that, like what you said with the overthinking thing, like I deal with the exact same thing. I'm constantly thinking like, is this really meant for me? And am I wasting time? Am I wasting money? But again, what I found to realize is that I've never found something that I enjoyed that can actually make an impact that I've wanted to make.
Yeah.
Right? Like I've never had a job and I was like, man, I love this. And or I've never, I've been in church my whole life. Like I have ministry. I've played the drums since I was 7 years old. I've preached. Now I'm the youth leader in my church. So I have things and I love it. I'm always going to serve specifically in a church setting for sure. But again, I think my mind it just thinks like bigger. Yeah. Like it thinks of the bigger picture. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes, 1000%. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's why that's the part that can be hard for people to grasp and understand. 'Cause like, to your parents' credit, like they're looking out for you. They're not.
They want the best for you.
Exactly. They're not saying that to be like, we don't want her to succeed. Or, obviously not. And I fully understand that. But I just do think that God makes certain people have this certain like drive that everyone doesn't get. Yeah. And the funny thing is that the people that in my life, I've never related to someone that I've known about this. It's only been podcasters. Yeah. Podcasters are the only people that I've heard speak these types of things. That it was like, I don't know, I just wanted to do something different. It looked fun. I like talking to people. Yeah. I knew I wanted to do something bigger. And when I hear those things, I'm like, whoa, like that could be me. Maybe that's what it actually takes to do this. So now that, again, you've started it, what do you think for you has changed in your life? Has there been any differences in your life regarding like the podcast or anything like that?
I think I gotta think about this one. There was I guess you could say the way I understood your question, there has been differences because, well, for one, when I started the podcast to where I'm at now, it's been, I think, a couple of years, and obviously my life has changed. Getting out of high school, entering college, and what has changed is sort of like I wouldn't say the purpose of the podcast, but the way of doing it, like the approach. That has changed for sure. I also want to say, dang, I don't know what else has changed. I think what mostly has changed is me, Oh, okay. The podcast, I guess, is just the outcome of the changed me. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
So the only thing I would say that has changed is, yes, the name and the approach. But mainly it's been my life. So I wouldn't say there was that much change in the podcast. So
I hear you speak a lot about ministry. Tell me a little bit about that and first of all, what ministries you do, and second of all, how that affects your life.
Okay. So I am currently in the music ministry with the church overall, and then with the youth group. I lead the worship for the youth group, and I play the drums for the church on Sundays. Sometimes they ask me to speak on Wednesdays, but we all take turns, right? They try to get the youth more involved, but sometimes I speak. And I'm also a part of the children's ministry with the kids, you know, which is honestly one of the hardest ones because sometimes the kids are crazy. Oh my goodness. Let's see, what else? I think, well, and then I have the podcast.
Yeah.
And then I try to work with other people individually by, this might sound really bad. It's like if I'm taking people and trying to change them. That's not it. No. But I try to form relationships with other people, friendships, and because relationship sounds, you know, it sounds weird, you know. No, but you get what I'm saying.
I know what you mean.
I try to, you know, create friendships, connections with other women, or not women, young ladies, and.
So you feel a specific burden for young ladies? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's really it. I've never really thought of it like that, but yeah, yes, I do actually. Oh my goodness. And I just try to, you know, encourage them in their walk with Christ and help them out. I guess you say discipling them.
Okay.
There were times where I would have certain Bible study groups or worship nights that they're no longer like continuing, but they were good for a certain time. I don't know if that makes sense. And now it's like, okay, what else do I need to do? Who else do I need to talk to or get to know? And so, yeah, there's something that you mentioned that you made me realize, yes, I do feel a burden for young ladies because of how society is now. Like,
I was going to ask you, so speak about that. What do you think it is that gives you that burden?
With everything that they've been just pushing on society's agenda, like on women.
Yeah. Like what?
These are really controversial topics. I don't know if you.
No, I don't care.
I'm very passionate.
Yeah, you talk about it. I don't care.
Like, I'm very against the feminist movement.
Yeah.
The abortion, the pro-choice movement.
I've seen, by the way.
Yeah. I'm so big on that. And the roles in marriage, the roles of a man and a woman. And I feel like that idea that God originally placed, like that biblical womanhood and biblical marriage is thwarped. It's messed up. And so I think that's one of the main reasons why I feel such a heavy burden for young ladies, even young men, like people they're teenage boys that are in high school around my youth. I tell them, hey, and they probably get annoyed. But it's like, you need to take that leadership role that you have. You know, you need to. What's that word? Yeah, just take the lead. Like, embrace the role that you have as
the head of household. Yeah,
even though they're still in high school, but it's like, if you're gonna end up getting married, like, start now.
Work for that.
Yeah, and same thing with women. Dang, I'm a work in process still. You know, it's really hard.
We all are.
I could say I think I'm the worst one. Like, oh my goodness, but no, it's. I think that's why it's such a heavy burden for me, because I see that maybe women or young ladies or girls these days aren't thinking about their future family and are thinking about themselves in the sense of, how can I put this without like, they're thinking about the wrong things, about the boys' attention. And I get that. We all have our, like, you know, our weaknesses, but it's something else when it comes, like, they're their idea of being a woman is completely thwarted. I don't know if that makes sense. That's the overall thing. It's completely messed up. And I think that's why it's my biggest burden, because I want to be able to speak about biblical marriage, even though I'm probably not qualified to speak about it because, not even married, but from what I've looked in the Bible and it's just like I want to return to those values.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why God placed those values.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I have such a heavy burden for women. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and just I think for single women who like are literally waiting on the Lord, it's more about don't create that feminist idea. Create a feminine like mindset, but don't create a feminist mindset.
Okay.
So I think that's...
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of the things that you said, I totally agree with. Everything you just said, actually, I totally agree with. I do think that there has been an attack towards women, and the sad thing is I actually think that there's been an attack on women, but I think that attack did so well that thinking that it was all the men's fault.
Yeah.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, the men are being attacked too. Like
yeah. Exactly.
Like bad.
And it's funny that you say that, because for me, the way I've experienced the same thing in the sense that I feel for a lot of the things that guys are going through right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm all for certain old school values in the sense of like a man being strong, stoicism, and obviously to be a leader, like it takes a lot. It takes a lot of strength. Yeah. Not only that, it takes a lot of stress. It takes a lot of getting the dirty end of the stick. Mm-hmm. So those things I don't necessarily like disagree with. The problem that I see though is that I think that the way that society is framed right now, I don't think men are really considered a lot. I don't think that, like, for the longest time, it was not okay to be a man. It was not okay to, like, if I were to say something like I want my girlfriend to, like, look this way, and I want to be attracted to her because of this, and, I want her to be able to, like, cook and clean for me. Like, you're going to get stoned, by again, like, feminists.
By feminist movement.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you on that. But then girls go on to say, oh, I want a 6'5" man, this and that. I mean, I get it. Girls can have their preferences, but so can the guys too.
Exactly. That's my thing. And I do think it's a very, very sad thing, because like while at times when you hear these like crazy raging feminists, it can be annoying to see that and to hear that. But at the same time, I've changed the way that I see it a lot recently, in the sense that like these are girls that have been like lied to.
It's sad.
Yes, it's very sad. And like the way that culture has manipulated women these past a few decades has been so impactful, especially in children's lives, because I don't think there's anything more important for a kid growing up than like a love from his mom.
Yeah.
And the thing that I've been thinking about a lot lately is I think the closest thing that we have to God's love is a women's love. I think women have a capacity to love that men don't. I really do think
that.
You
know what? There's a where it says in Ephesians 5. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
No,
you said something so important where we actually learned this and I think it was in one of my Bible college classes. They said, how in Ephesians 5 it asks the woman or commands the woman to submit to her husband, and then it commands the husband to love his wife.
Yeah.
And so it could be, why is God asking the woman to submit to her husband, and why is God asking the man to love his wife? If you look at the reality of things, it's hard for a woman to submit, in the sense like her mindset is going to want to rebel, to be on top. And you can see that from, we can see that in Genesis.
Yeah.
Genesis, in one passage in Genesis, one of the translations says that she's going to want to rebel against her husband. She's going to want to be on top. When God commands, or when God tells her, you're cursing, your husband's going to be the head at the fall, right? And so the theory is that God is commanding the woman to submit to her husband because that's the one thing she's going to struggle with the most. And God commands the man to love his wife because that's the one thing he's going to struggle with the most, loving. Because I don't think women have a problem loving. Again, I can't speak for the men. There's guys up there, obviously. But I think it might be a little bit harder for men too.
Yeah, no, I do agree, because I think that, again, it's a lot harder for guys to be vulnerable. And I think that's a big part of it. I think that's a big part of, like, because you can't love someone if you're not willing to be yourself around them. I think so. And if you're not willing to, if you're not willing to let her see the bad parts about you, like, is this girl really someone that you love?
Yeah.
And not only that, on a deeper level, that you feel loves you. Because I do think that I don't know if it's just guys are kind of born this way or if it's a culture thing, but clearly if the Bible's talking about it, it's probably just the way men are desired, that we're so not desired, the way men are made.
Yeah.
Is that we're so we're used to, from a kid and for literally our whole lives, to kind of taking everything.
Yeah.
And as a man, to become a man, you, even when things feel against you, you have to do your job anyways. That's what it is. And it's if for example, I'm not going to talk about the things that I talk about with my guy friends than I do with my girlfriend. And for example, right? Yeah. So it's a very hard thing. And I think that that's the moment that a guy realizes that he does love a girl. Yeah. Is that when he's able to finally, to open up and be vulnerable.
And even then, it might be a little hard because I guess the girl would kind of have to, hey, I want you to express it. I want you to be open and honest with me. And it's all because, like you said, growing up, they constantly tell you, don't cry. Don't cry. You're a man. Don't cry. Don't do that. They mold you and they shape you into just keeping it all in.
Yeah.
And this is another controversial thing where I think it's good to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
For you guys, but it's not good to be overly emotional.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree.
Because there's some red flags that come with that. But it's good to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so, and with everything that you've said about a man and his job and his role, I admire men for taking that leadership role. I admire them because, like you said, it's not easy. It's something that I don't think us women would be able to handle. Yeah. Because we're overly emotional. Yeah. There has to be that balance.
No, yeah, for sure.
So,
no, yeah, the way I like to frame it is, I don't think it's bad for a guy to have emotions.
Yeah.
But when I do think it starts becoming a problem is when he makes his choices off of those emotions. Because I think men
when he starts acting like a girl.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that the most dangerous men in society are the ones that act on their emotions.
Yeah.
Simply put, I think those are the most dangerous men. Because
girls, because
Well, yeah, exactly. For sure. The thing is that I do think that and the differences that come with that, I think, is that girls really have a way of something that guys can't do, at least I think, is they have such a unique way of using their emotions to get to people. That's why it's so much easier, for example, for a girl to make friends.
Yeah.
Or for a girl to really quickly, I don't know, fall in love with a guy and open up and things like that. It's very easy for you. And that's honestly a power. That's a very, very powerful thing. And I think that that's used very well. I think that's why in the early stages of a child, the mom is so important.
Yeah.
Because a child needs to feel that there's someone that's always going to love me. There's someone that's there to care for me. Mm-hmm. They need to feel that. And guys are just not as good as women at doing that. I
as
really
nurturing
do think so.
and like comforting. But I think to some extent that's okay because it's all in how God designed it. Exactly. The different roles, the different characteristics of a man and a woman, that when they come together they complement one another, and and they build their house or their family in the way it should be built. Yeah. So it's really, I know we're different, like different completely, like the male and the female completely different in the way they think, in the way they view things, but when they come together it's necessary. It's just like a puzzle piece. I think it's beautiful. So I don't think there's necessarily a bad thing with
the differences.
Yeah.
No, yeah, for sure. I think both are necessary. That's why I've heard about this, and it was I don't remember exactly from whom, but it was a very interesting thought that came to mind, that I do think that God and I do think that God has like the best of both worlds from both of us. Yeah. Like obviously we talk about God and his love and how powerful it is. He even calls himself love. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, you also hear God and God and his punishment, and God is just, and things like that. And I do think that there's two aspects of the thing that are not, we like to like separate them and make them like kind of like these can't work together. Mm-hmm. But in reality, like it's a perfect design. Yeah. Right. It's like like it's a design that we're not supposed to be the same. And we and I think that that's one of the main problems that, like we mentioned before, like the feminist movement, when it started, the whole point of it was pretty much like we can do everything a man can do and we're exactly the same. So when you start thinking that way, you're going to have, now women are going to try to be men. Now men are going to try to be women. Now there's no point of a man and a woman. Now both guys can be together, because
then there's an identity crisis.
Yeah, because it's not like it's more powerful for a man and a woman to be together because we're the same now. That's kind of like the idea of it. So that's where it opens up so many things that I think has been so destructive in relationships. Because that's one of the things that I think about so much is the attack on relationships. Yeah. Because obviously, like, the enemy knows, the devil knows that if he can affect families, that's what churches are built, and the foundation of churches are family, right? Like it's a man and a woman coming together through Christ's love and forming a bond and raising children in that bond, that without that, like, you really don't have anything. You don't even have a country. America was founded on the idea of family. That was the point of it. And so I think that when you destroy that and when you take that away, it's such a impactful way to destroy something, to destroy America, to destroy the church. If you can get to the family, then you're going to destroy these things. And that's the reality of it. Yeah. So, okay, so I want to hear your thoughts then on, because like you said, like, for young women, like, it's hard and there's a lot of things that they're told that might not be true. What do you think are things that young women can start doing or maybe changing that can help them, I guess, be closer to like a biblical woman, a biblical wife? Okay.
Well, first and foremost, it is give their life to Christ. Yeah. Obviously, that is the very first thing, to give their life to Christ. And once they give their life to Christ, is to continue the process of sanctification, or start the process. Make changes. Oh my goodness. This is going to be something. Again, I might have a mindset that is kind of old-fashioned. Yeah. These are things that I've experienced. But one of the things... Well, for one, when you give your life to Christ, you're not supposed to remain the same. Yes, you come as you are, but when you experience his love, you're going to want to make some changes, or you should want to make some changes. And you start to think, okay, what are the things that are making me not look like a Christ follower? What are those things that are kind of maybe hindering my relationship with God? What are those things that are giving a bad testimony of me? One of those things that I had to give up was, like as I mentioned earlier, are my posts on Instagram. What was I posting? I think that's important.
I agree.
I'd say, if you want to start becoming that woman that God has called you to be, how are you presenting yourself on social media? This is actually not talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like, we need to talk about it so much, because so much more than it is, because the reality of it is sometimes you can look at, I say, when you look at someone's Instagram, it tells you everything about them. Everything. Absolutely everything. By what they post, who they follow. That's another thing. So another thing is, what are you posting? Are you posting pictures that, you're wearing a bikini? Are you posting pictures that look a little bit scandalous, a little promiscuous? Like, you start there. And then the other one is, who are you following, like, on your pages? Are you following guys that, maybe post thirst traps, things like that? You kind of have to start. Also, if your goal is to get married to a good, godly man, it starts with those little things.
Yeah.
Like, a good, godly man, I can't speak for them, but this is my idea of them, that they're going to expect that they're going to want a good, godly woman. And they're going to see it on your Instagram page. So the way you present yourself is very important. So yeah, things like that. Also, this is something else. This is very surface level before we get into like something, more spiritual, more deep. Also, what you're wearing anywhere, like specifically to the gym. I think we've been doing, from what I've seen, maybe I haven't seen everything, we're doing pretty good job when it comes to like, modesty, you dress regularly. But when it comes to the gym, I think that's another thing. What are you wearing to the gym? I've seen Christian women or young ladies who go into the gym and they're cute little sets, but the cute little sets are like really short shorts and
really little.
Yeah, really little. And so that's another thing. Like, I get it. It's like, I want to be comfortable because, I'm going to be sweating a lot. I'm at the gym. But then it also, I've heard that I saw this video one time where it said, it's really hard. It was these two guys talking. It's really hard to go to the gym and see those women dressed like that because it's really uncomfortable. I feel like I can't even look up. And so it's like, why are we making it hard, like, for them? It shouldn't be like that. And so I'd say, be careful with what you're wearing to the gym. Be very mindful of who's around you. Like, and I know some people might disagree with me on this one. Like, it's just like, but I don't dress for the men. I dress for myself. Like, the men need to control themselves. You don't want to make them stumble either. Like, you fall into sin if you're making them stumble. So, yeah, that's another thing. What you're wearing to the gym is very, very important too. Those are little things that we need to be working towards. Another thing is, what are you listening to? What are you watching? I don't know if you notice, we're like touching every single one of the senses, the 5 senses. But what are you watching? What are you watching, and what are you listening to? The music that you're listening to is talking about sin. Is it talking about women? Is it talking about guys in a nasty, promiscuous way? Is it talking about drugs? Is it talking about sex? All of those things. So, and I always say, what you're listening to, you become. There was a time before, we say BC, before Jesus.
Okay.
I was listening a lot to, what do they call, City Girls and Megan Thee Stallion,
Oh, okay.
And that music, as I would listen to it more and more and more, it would make me think the exact same way. I started to change the way I dress, the way I thought, the way I spoke. And then I got into a phase of like heavy metal. I know, insane. I would listen to Slipknot, all these things because in the gym, because of the gym, you know. And so, but it started to influence me in a very, very bad way. I cut my hair. These are little things that they grow to be bigger. I cut my hair super short. My eyeliner got thicker. My outfit started to be super duper baggy cargo pants with like this Def Leppard sweater, you know, just super. And I was like, oh my goodness, thank God Jesus saved me right after that phase. So what you listen to, you become, and your mindset, like, it changes with what you're listening to and what you're watching. Sometimes, well, even myself, we'd be like, I feel like my relationship with God is just drifting, or I'm drifting from the Lord. I don't feel at peace with the Lord. I'm still reading my Bible. I'm still praying. Is the question that you have to ask yourself. I always do self-reflection every time. Like, I feel like this, like I feel like I'm not at peace with God. I feel like, you know, there's some sort of wall between us, even though I'm still praying and reading. And I ask myself, okay, what am I listening to? What am I watching? What have I been watching these past couple of days? Okay, maybe I've been watching a series that has, you know, some things that are not the best thing, you know? And so those little things kind of put a little wall in between. And so those are really surface level changes or things that I would tell like young ladies, even myself, okay, because I also need a lot of work. So those things, but obviously it all comes down to reading your Bible, and not just reading, but studying. I'm very big on that. Don't just read the Bible, study it. Because yes, you can read the Bible, it's alive and active, and it will change you, but you sometimes get to a point where it's like, okay, I think I need a little bit more than just reading surface level. We need to dig deeper. So as you grow in your relationship with Christ, I think you shouldn't just be reading anymore. I think you should be, yes, there's days where you just will read, but also have time to study the Bible and to pray a lot, because that's like the battlefield. Yeah. That's very crucial. Pray. And not just pray, but also worship and praise. All of those things. We need to be doing all those things. There's this time that I was reading the Word and studying the Word a lot, but I wasn't praying that much. And my relationship with God felt like it was going down. I was like, what? Like, how? Why is it going down? Like, I'm reading a lot and I'm learning a lot. And it's like, yeah, but you're not praying. And you're not worshiping either. So you need to have all of those. And that's another thing that I would tell anybody, any young lady that I come across. Like, those are things, little important things. And your relationships too with other people. Who do you have relationships with? Like, who are your friends? Very crucial thing. Yeah. Also, this might be a little bit more again, I might be called old-fashioned, but setting your boundaries with the opposite sex. Like, that's very crucial too. Again, if you want to become that woman that God has called you to be, and if you want to get married someday to a good godly man, your boundaries with the opposite sex are really important. Okay.
Speak on those boundaries.
Oh my
what
goodness,
types of things?
I'm gonna get attacked.
Get into it. Like, what do you think are things that you see a lot?
Oh, okay. I don't believe in best friends of the opposite sex.
I agree.
I don't think that exists.
1000%.
I don't think that exists. I think it's good to, yes, you have acquaintances, you have your friends and family at church, but to have like, oh, this is my best friend and he's a guy, and it's like, well, someone there has interest. And one of y'all is leading the other person on. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so those are important things. Like, be careful with like who your friends are, not just like the people you're hanging out with, like what they believe. No, I'm talking about like, are they girls, are they guys, you know? And if y'all spend a lot of time together, even just being friends, I would be like, I don't think that's really good for you. And if you want to find a good godly husband, I don't think he's going to be, once he hears that, oh, my best friend is a guy, I feel like that would be a turn off for him. You know, it'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
So one of those things, I'd be like, I don't believe that they're the opposite sex. I've heard of stories where, you know, they grew up together, they were best friends, but in the end, like, they don't stay best friends forever, you know? I might be wrong. There might be some people out there.
There's always going to be outliers.
Yeah, but I definitely believe the majority is that you grew up with a guy, say in my case, I don't think I had a guy best friend like that, but, you know, or no, I did have, like, guy best friends when I was younger, but eventually there's no more, like, you know? So I don't really believe in the whole idea of, oh, my guy best friend is a guy, or my best friend is a guy. Same thing goes for a guy with a girl. Like, I don't think that's correct. It's good to have friends, but to consider him your best friend, it's like, if you're not going to pursue a relationship with that person, I don't think you should be that close to them. Another thing that I say is constant communication with another guy. Again, that falls under guy best friend thing. There's times where you have to, you know, take a couple of days to text, you know, check up on someone, or maybe for business and actual business, or like a ministry, you know, you get what I'm saying? You're gonna take days to, you know, talk. You might have a conversation. That's fine. But if it's like an everyday kind of thing, I think that's like, why are y'all just friends? Like, why not just pursue something more? Another thing is hanging out with the opposite sex alone. I don't think, again, if it's not a date, then I don't think it should be done. Obviously, if you have interest in that person has interest in you, I mean, go for it. Obviously, set your boundaries. That's a whole nother thing, right? But when it comes to just, oh, he's just my friend, then why do y'all do that, you know? And just being, I try my hardest, or one of the things that I try to do is to not be alone in a car, in a room, with the opposite sex. Sometimes you have to, but it's just like, okay, I'm gonna do what I need to do and get out of there. I'm not gonna linger, because it could be a really dangerous thing. I think Billy Graham was very strict about that. He would not be in a car with another woman alone, in an elevator. My great grandfather would do that too. He was very, very, I believe my great grandfather, I think I recall my grandma telling me something like that. So little things like that maybe, like, in today's society, may be looked at like, you're thinking too much, you're doing too much, you're being extra. But it's just literally what I've experienced, and I've decided this is the route I want to take, and I think it's beneficial for anybody. And just very big on that. I think, wait, what was your question? I don't know if I answered it.
What are those boundaries? No, because the main thing that you said that is very important, because you, like, obviously you said, like, it's little things, like, these are little things that we can do, but the reality is, like, if you make a lot of little different choices, that's ultimately gonna lead to a big thing, right? Like, it adds up. So that is one thing that I do think is not spoken about enough. That for example, if a guy and a girl go out together, it's just them two, that's nothing else but a date.
And then they want to cover it up and say, I'm just hanging out with my guy best friend. No, it's not. Someone there has interest. Like,
I agree, it's 1,000%.
Either you make that interest known and follow through with the pursuing process, or don't hang out with that person anymore, because you could be leading or hurting someone
Yeah,
So,
yeah. No, yeah, like for sure, for sure. I mean, it's funny because I don't even think this is exclusive to like mainly guys or mainly like it's both. Both of us need to learn to like to have again boundaries, but at the same time, like you have to take choices that you make with the opposite sex very serious, because again that can affect maybe the way you're seen. Maybe you could have had your potential future partner for the rest of your life,
yeah.
but they saw you super touchy with a girl or a guy, and it's like maybe not
It's
that.
like,
So and that's the thing, is like that comes down to like similarly to what you said, kind of the way you look, like presenting yourself as someone who takes the way they present themselves seriously. Because once you decide to give your life to Christ, you now represent him.
yeah.
Like
You're an ambassador.
Exactly. It's like, again, like we're obviously called his children. So if my children grew up and started doing crazy things, like that can affect me.
Yeah.
Or a question that might come up a lot is like, what did the father do? Was he not there enough that caused them to do this? Or so the reality is that what we do behind closed doors, I actually think is more important than what we're doing when everyone's watching.
Yeah.
I think that it means more. Because again, like if I'm acting this way behind closed doors and I'm kind of living like a double life, which to be completely honest, I was for a long time.
Yeah. I think a lot of us were.
Yeah, a lot of people experience, especially growing up in church, being a young person and going through the changes in your life, like that happens. And I think naturally it happens so much. But at the same time, I think that you really don't realize the impact that these little choices can have on your life.
Yeah.
And it is the thing that needs to be spoken about more. Because like if I'm just like, okay, like I'll be like a little touchy with this girl, and then we end up being alone, we get a little touchy, and it might turn into something bigger.
Yeah.
And I end up having a kid or something, right? Because I decided,
you become a baby daddy.
Yeah, exactly. Because I decided to not keep a boundary. So like I think that the ultimate way to look at it is like leave no room for mistakes to be made.
Yeah.
Like just play on the safe side. Don't even mess with and try to figure out like what are the lines that I can walk
Don't
on.
even try to get as close to the line as possible.
Exactly. And I think that's the main point of it all, especially in how we live and in our society, is like stop trying to focus so much on what's the most we can get away with, but rather focus on what's the more that I can give to God.
Yeah.
What's more that I can do for his kingdom. And one of the things that really struck me with what you said is like the way we're presenting ourselves, like in the gym and things like that. And one of the fascinating things that you said is that you really looked at it from a lens of like for guys. Like present yourself not only for yourself, but because of how that can have an effect on others. Yeah. And I actually do think that it's tremendously important. Like if I live my life and decide to do something that might not necessarily affect me so much, but it's affecting others in big ways, that's a problem. That's not living a selfless life anymore. Yeah. I'm prioritizing, like, maybe I just want to be a little more comfortable, so I'll wear this and show off this. They might look and I might cause someone a backside, but like for me, it's going to be better and benefit me. And it's like, okay, so now we're prioritizing ourselves over other people. And that's clearly something that the Bible speaks against.
I want to say something, though. Like you said, because a lot of girls use that excuse. And, okay, I want to make something before anything else. It sounds like I'm trying to favor the guys. And I'm not. Yeah, it's just, these are things that I've experienced. And it truly does concern me. Like, it really makes me think. Not at all. And that passage where it says, like, I recall exactly how it goes, but I do remember the word stumbling block. Don't be a stumbling block. And you can see it in Proverbs. The wayward woman, like, we don't want to be like that. And that's a scary thing to do. That leads people to hell, you know? Like, it's not a good place to be.
It's not a small thing.
Yeah, so it's not that I'm trying to favor the male species at all. It's just these are things that I've actually that concern me. And one thing that I can say, coming from a girl, because I was once there, we use that excuse, I just want to be comfortable, because it bothers me, and you know, and this and this and that, and that's why I wear this. In all reality, like, when you put on those sets, or when you put on, you know, something, we're not comfortable, because we're worried, oh, something might fall out, you know, or this might, or just simply by the fact that, oh, I'm showing my stomach, maybe I look like a little, like I look like, you know, oh, I can't sit like that, because you're not comfortable, because you always have to constantly be thinking, okay, how does my body look, or how do I look? So in reality, you're not that comfortable, unless if you're in a gym full of girls. Like, that's a different story. But when it comes to a co-ed, like, gym, you're not really comfortable, because you can be wearing something and you're like, or what if they're looking at me? What if they're thinking this of me? Like, and you have that in the back of your mind. And sometimes girls wear things knowing, like, what they're wearing. I don't know if that, I think it says a lot. Like, because I was there. I would wear certain things because I knew, oh, I might look good in this, you know? And we do it. We say, oh, I do it for myself. No, we don't. Like, we low-key want the attention and the validation of other people. And so I will say we're not really that comfortable wearing it. Unless if you're in your home with no one around, then you're truly comfortable. Like, you're the comfort of your own home. But when you're out in public, you're not really comfortable.
So do you think then that, like, for example, do you think there's a difference where, because like you've said, like, you've taken on ministries, right? Do you think that adds more to anyone that decides to take a ministry? What do you think there's differences in that, in the sense that now I'm in a ministry, should I start making choices differently? Or do you think that the standard is kind of like the same?
Oh, do you think, like, the fact that I'm in a position of ministry, like, it affects the way I think, or like how I believe with everything? Yeah, definitely. I think so. Because you're being constantly watched by people that know that you're in ministry, people that know that you're maybe leading a group, or just simply talking about the word of God or Jesus. I think it affected the way I think a lot. Because people are constantly watching you. And you've always heard the phrase say, don't care what other people think. Yeah, you shouldn't when you're doing the right thing. But I think that's a lie to a certain extent. Like, I think you should care what people think to a certain extent.
No, yeah.
Because sometimes you could be doing something that's not good. Like, you're not representing Christ. It's not going to give them a good picture of Christ in their eyes, you know? So it has definitely changed the way I think being in ministry.
So do you think that, what do you think is that balance of like inward holiness and outward holiness? Are they exactly the same in terms of importance, for example?
Oh, I want to put it like this. I think, well, no, because no, you know what? I think what comes first is the inward holiness. Like, what's inside of you first. Like, that is what needs to be worked. But what's going on inside of you should reflect on the outside. I think it's as simple as that. I know there's people that, or maybe even I or anybody who's fallen into like, my heart's not in the right place, even though on the outside I'm dressing with like the baggiest clothes ever in the world, you know? I think that's just things that we fall into, you know, we get a little too in our heads. But we should always work first on the inside, like the inward part, and let that reflect on the outside.
Okay.
Allow it to reflect.
Yeah, like I've heard it put this way, and I think it's a very well way of putting it. Like your heart, the inside is obviously the most important, because obviously that the inside is the part that connects with God, right? But at the same time, just because something's more important does not make the other thing not important at all. In fact, the Bible would not talk about it if it wasn't important at all.
Yeah.
And I'm very big on that, because I think I do think that it's changing. I think we're in a very big shift right now in the church in general. But I think for a long time, that was like that idea of outward holiness was like completely thrown out. Now, I think that for a long time, that was not a thing that guys and girls were considering at all. I don't know. I mean, you can put blame on from a lot of things from that, but I think the reality is, just simply put, that is what it was.
Yeah.
And my thing is like, it can make a big difference, because again, like you said, we're now representing Christ. So the way that we present ourselves ultimately can be a reflection of what's on the inside. It can.
Yeah, exactly. There needs to be that balance. You said something like there was a time, and I think till this day is still thrown out. It's still thrown out. I think it all comes with like the progressive movements of Christianity, where it's like, oh, I love Jesus, but so it doesn't really matter how I look, how I dress, how I talk. It matters 1,000%. Like, again, it could just be our old-fashioned way of thinking, our conservative way of thinking. But yeah, there needs to be a balance of both of them.
Yeah.
Like, one can't be more than the other.
Yeah.
I think they come into play well.
No, yeah. It's funny, like you keep using the terms old school and like traditional, conservative. I heard a very interesting take on the word, especially like the word traditional, right? Because, and it was I listened to this podcast. It's like a dating podcast, and there's a guy on it that he's very smart. He thinks a lot. I think he's like an Orthodox Christian.
Do you know his name?
Andrew Wilson. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Terrible names. I need to.
He is his main thing. He debates,
Okay.
and he's a Christian. He's conservative. He debates. That's his main thing. So he talked about that. He said that he actually learned this from a girl that did OnlyFans, like a girl he was actually debating.
Oh, wow.
And he said that she said something, the best definition of tradition. And he said that what she said was that the best definition of tradition is things that society tried that worked. And again, I think that because we are framed a lot in the way of like, you're just old school and you're kind of like, you're traditional in this way. And I want to make it very clear, first of all, there absolutely is a lot of things that were wrong back then. So like, society was nowhere near perfect, and there was a lot of things that were really bad, which I'm not scared to talk about at all. But at the same time, a lot of the foundation and a lot of the main principles that are now considered traditional were there because they worked. I truly do believe that the average person was more happy back then.
Yeah, more content.
Exactly. Because at that time, like, people knew the things that were actually important.
Yeah.
People knew the things, like, for example, people knew that, like, there's nothing more important than family.
They valued it much more.
So much more. That and I think, again, now it's sad to say that you know, progressivism and liberalism has really affected the church in so many ways that people, I don't think, really realize. I think it was just very it's sad to me that kind of, I guess, I don't know how else to put it, but like the famous Christians, like all the artists and all, like they avoid certain topics and issues, but when it's like, you're supposed to use what you have to represent Christ in the fullest way. But instead, like, you're kind of choosing to just be like,
all the good side, like the roses and the rainbows.
Exactly. Like, it's all like, Jesus loves you no matter what, and you can live however you want. And again, there was literally a time where you had some of the most prominent Christian figures talking about, like, like, gay is okay, and
so I've heard
things like that. Yeah, of course. And it's one of those things that is so sad, because you kind of realize that it was all just for their benefit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think most of the things that those people were saying, they even meant it or actually believed it. I truly do think that it was just an act of, like, this is what's going to keep my fans around. So I will say this, and I'll keep out of this. And it was such a sad thing to hear, right? Because not only does it affect, obviously, the way people see them, but it affects the rest of the Christians. It affects us.
Yeah.
Like, I can be, like, if I say I'm Christian, like, there's already such a bad image placed on that of, like, Christians being very,
very hypocritical, very judgmental.
Yeah, hypocritical, judgmental, selfish. And that affects me trying to win people and me trying to share this truth that I found that is that was made and meant to be shared, and I can't do that anymore.
Because they thought, you're forcing it on me.
Yeah, it really is it's a very hard thing that I think Christianity took a big hit on. Now, I want to close with this. Is there, for you, again, obviously you started the podcast and you have ministry, you've been, your whole life you lived in church. For someone that's listening, what do you think is, like, if you could tell them one piece of advice that you think has stuck with you and has guided you the most out of anything else that you've heard, what do you think you'd say?
Oh my goodness. I really got to think about this one.
I know it's not an easy question, but.
Well, I have two. One is something that my grandma told me. She said, do more than expected. Take the extra mile, like walk the extra mile. Do more than expected. And the other thing that I really want to, like, focus on tonight or in this episode is I recently went to go talk to a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a while. And, we've been busy. Life gets in the way. And, we take our, like, hangouts to, like, kind of, like, talk to one another, our struggles as Christ followers, and, the waiting and the frustration. We just open up and I tell her my worries. And something that really, really, really stuck with me that she said, so simple, something that we already know, but she said, just love Jesus. Just love Jesus. Everything else will come. Everything else will fall into place. Just focus on loving him. Don't focus on, what you have to do on that decision that you have to make. Obviously, don't become foolish or don't forget it. But just focus on loving Jesus. Don't worry about anything else. Just focus on loving him. Just love him. And everything else will just fall into place. Yes, there's going to be problems. Yes, there's going to be struggles. But just love him. Yeah, we talked about some very, like, maybe not easy things to hear or easy things to talk about. And we might feel the pressure. Even us ourselves might feel the pressure to live up to that standard. Or we might feel the need that we have to work towards our salvation with these little things. No, absolutely not. Yeah. I think ultimately after all of this, after we've talked about all of these, very old-fashioned traditional or boundaries, what we should really focus on is just loving Jesus. And he will guide us to what he wants us to do, how he wants to be represented. Just focus on loving him. And yeah, we talked about we talked about some things that we might feel the pressure. Even I'm feeling the pressure. I was like, I just said that, even though I followed through with them, but it's like, I just said that I need to follow through with them. It's like, no, and I just love Jesus. Yeah. And that's really all I got to say.
Was there anything else? I know, obviously, with your podcast, do you want to promote anything? Where can people find you? Anything
Oh
like
my
that?
goodness. It's under the title Heavenward, and you can find it on YouTube and you can find it on Spotify. I think those are the only platforms that I have them on. Yeah, I do. Those are the only ones that I have them on. But yeah, we should be uploading soon, Lord willing. We're planning on, doing something different, making it more personal, more inclusive. And also, we're going to be talking about things that you might face as a believer, that's all part of the faith race, things that we struggle with as believers. And so, yeah, that's the focus of the podcast. And yeah, make sure to check it out. Heavenward.
Cool. Yeah, that's exciting. Thank you so much for being here and doing this. It went very well, I think.
Yeah,
there's a lot there. There's a lot there that people can take for sure. So, obviously, y'all know I'm on every social media platform, YouTube and Spotify. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Woo.
Oh, my goodness. That was so good.